Good morning, all. Thank you very much for being here from there. Professor Murli Manoharji, the President of IDEA, Professor Ramesh Verma, the Secretary General, and Professor Hari Chandanji, thank you very much for giving me this coveted platform of IDOL, IDEA, and SIMCA. And lots of thanks to Professor Kavita, the convener of the conference. Above all, I must proffer my special thanks to Professor Suhash Padnekar, the Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University, and Dr. Ravinder Kulkarni, the Pro Vice Chancellor, for patronizing this mega event. Thanks to the organizing committee and the team SIMCA. Thank you, contributors to distance education. Thank you, my friends and the participants, for being here. I start by paying my respect to USOL, the first institute to provide study material in 3 languages. I have spent more than 4 decades and I have so many reasons to be proud of this place. In 1978, first time I visited Punjab University, the second university to start correspondence courses in India, but it was the first university to provide study material in regional language. It was here that I first met Professor Bakshish Singh, the then director of the then Directorate of Correspondence Courses. I had quite some enriching time with him at that time and again when he visited Punjab University as visiting professor. I am humbled to pay my respect to Professor Bakshish Singh at this memorial lecture. Thank you, Professor Bakshish Singh ji, for zooming the stature of Indian distance educators to the global network. We are indeed indebted to you for your initiating us to the glorious path of open and distance education where the sun will never set. And I dedicate this talk to you, sir. Also on behalf of my young colleagues in USOL, Jisu Jaskwar Singh and his new disciple Manhar Gautam Behel, I dedicate the first of its kind 2 logos on open and distance education and open and distance learning to you, sir. Well, in the light of the theme of the conference, I shall share some of my thoughts under the caption ODE's Sail onto Swayam, the revolution. So there are 2 parts, onto Swayam and then Swayam, the revolution. In this context, I shall cruise through 3 centuries. Well, 19th century saw the shattering of the myth that for education one has to be there in the 4 walls of a classroom. Of course, for it we cannot undermine the role of Eklavya, but for modern educationists it was Phillips' experiment that got boosted in the 19th century with the efforts led by Sir Pittman, and in the scheme of University of London that inspired the establishment of a number of universities. In these universities, students were required to prepare of their own and without any support services. That is what Pittman brought in. He stepped ahead by providing support services in the form of notes to the learners which they could study at their own pace and place. And then by responding to their responses, he brought in the element of two-way communication and thus invoked 2 fundamentals of open and distance education. And that is why we have all the reasons to address Pittman as father of distance learning. Promotion of languages apart, some other applications of this scheme of education included women empowerment. Ticknor founded Society to Encourage Study at Home, which is also referred as the Silent University. Interestingly, this non-traditional scheme of education has been addressed by a range of labels, where the term correspondence study was first registered in the University of Wisconsin. Growing terminologies apart, they are also witnessed some technological contributions which re-engineered the world order. Interestingly, some statements made in the context of open and distance education in the 19th century seem quite up to date. On to the 20th century. Well, at its very outset, it was marked by a positive note on the increasing scope and growing enrollments in the correspondence courses. Gradually, this stream of education emerged even more stronger by showcasing its potential in enriching aspirants hailing from special segments of the society. In this context, remarks of Edison are quite remarkable. Well, in India, before Delhi University started, the roots of open and distance education could be traced in Tagore's Lok Shiksha Samsad and Agra's Jamia Urdu. In turn, the year 2020 marks completion of 50 years of open and distance education by the Punjab University, Mumbai University, Himachal Pradesh University, and Madurai Kamraj University. Congratulations to these institutes and keep the flag of open and distance education up and up. Well, the 20th century was also marked by fructification of technological advancements. The USA witnessed growing number of broadcasting licenses as also of granting of credit for radio broadcast courses. In this context, BBC deserves a due reference as also for its vision on wireless university. In 1927, while in the USA, the Radio Act made a precise reference to the potential of radio for the educational purposes. In India, the radio made formal entry in the public domain. Interestingly, around the same time, debates on the advantages and dangers of audio-video were also echoing, and an earlier reference could be made to the First Republic of Portugal. By the time when radio had virtually stamped its role in the education, television started showcasing its potential. And by the time television had become an integral part of the education system, computers started emerging, and within a decade, computers started playing an indispensable role in the lifestyles of worldwide. Amidst all pervasive expansions of open and distance education, the century also saw stakeholders promoting its cause. A number of associations, authors, and conferences dedicated to the spirit of open and distance education started emerging. For instance, China had one in 1914. International Council for Correspondence Education was founded in 1938. The opening address at the ICC conference reflected the spirit of the mission, which continues to guide us even today. In the second half of the century, an array of distance educators spearheaded a move to provide strong theoretical base to open and distance education. However, unmindful of the developments and growing role and importance of open and distance education, a section of the traditional academia took every opportunity to rebuke students, teachers, as well as the system of distance education. A multiplicity of reasons could be listed for it. For example, some persons who were called upon for policy initiatives on open and distance education or given key positions in the institutes of open and distance education played havoc with it because of their limited knowledge or their vision. And then there were some institutes who saw in open and distance education a money-minting proposition to take out their universities or institute out of red. And then lack of support from the formal system to improve sports services also added to the agony. As a result, the education system was divided into two groups. Nonetheless, the decade ended with a note on quality consciousness and establishment of bodies to oversee the quality and standards of open and distance education. On to the 21st century. Well, the agenda for the new millennium was virtually set with the launch of Global Development Learning Network. The three key words in the process speak about the education scenario that we see today. The launch of number of initiatives gave a flying start to the new age. Singapore's e-learning framework, Cyber University of Korea, e-learning in Myanmar, virtual high school in USA, or the Tamil Virtual University in India. In the backdrop of all pervasiveness of ICT, the new millennium also saw the emergence of some content management systems. The increasing concern for open, flexible, accessible, and inclusive quality education found its manifestation in the three new age terms, OCW, OER, and MOOCs. These three terms, open courseware, open education resources, and the massive open online courses, were coined in the very first decade of the new millennium. While the debates were on with respect to OCR, OER, and MOOCs, SWAYAM brought a revolution. It is a revolution. It has four quadrants which are replica of four integral parts of open and distance education system. Then the SWAYAM is a revolution as it can be seen as an OER or as an OCW and of course the MOOC. Above all, it has brought the two warring communities in the academia on one platform. Distance educators are happy to get another convenient way to attain their aims and objectives, and the proponents of formal system are delighted to get a mode to share their expertise with masses at the click of the mouse, and that too from anywhere at any time to anyone. For Swayam the Revolution, there are multiple facilitators. Now, individuals, depending on one's potential, can easily launch a MOOC, OER, or OCW and address the global clientele. On the other hand, institutes are keen to reach out the masses with a range of options and surely not for money minting purposes. Resource sharing is so intense that now collaborations are emerging at global levels. So the SWAYM has virtually redefined the whole education system. Now the resources are pooled. Now all boundaries have perished. SWAYM is a revolution. Teachers are happy to get world audience and learners are happy to get opportunities to learn from the best of the version as per their needs. But like all other revolutions, this has to be handled with care. Thank you very much.